4 in the morning. Just a delightful time to be up and around and have a little snack and a hot beverage. One of the issues that are going on right now is the very expensive gasoline. It's about, uh, I think yesterday I was paying right at $4 a gallon. Some are higher. Every once in a while you see a station way out in the country on an interstate that might be a few cents less than $4 a gallon. And so you hear people say, drill, baby, drill. We need to increase production in the United States and then we're all set. We need to get our oil, get more of our oil. Well, ExxonMobil and Phillips 66 and Chevron, the oil producing and drilling companies here in the United States, they're not going to be doing that anytime soon. And there are a number of different reasons. One is that they can make a boatload more money doing stock buybacks. um, they can, if you just use your money, they're getting a lot of money right now because they were paying a lot of money for their gasoline. So they're making lots of money. And they can spend that money on stock buybacks to, if they buy back their own stock, that decreases the amount of stock at their stock that's on the market. When you decrease the supply and the demand remains the same, the price of the stock goes up, and CEOs' benefit package and pay is keyed to the stock value. So, what do you think they would rather do? But one of the problems with producing more oil is labor on the oil rigs and oil fields. And so you might hear someone say, boy, I'll tell you, just in general, boy, I'll tell you, these lazy people, you can't get them to work, and we have a labor shortage. All these companies are saying, we're hiring, and nobody wants to work. I'll tell you, I go to work every single day, and I don't see why these people are sitting around drinking lattes and playing Minesweeper or Minecraft. I remember Minesweeper. That was a fun game. Here's what's going on insofar as labor on the oil rigs. Let's start off with the fact that it is dangerous work. People die on oil rigs and on oil fields. They get hurt and they die. And the states where these oil fields are located are very loath to come out there and enforce a bunch of regulations on the oil fields. They want the tax money for the state that comes from the oil fields. And so don't think that the workers at these rigs and on these fields don't know that if they are hurt, if they are killed, the odds of them being able to go and make a complaint regarding that are slim, being able to succeed in that area. It's filthy work working on an oil field. That's not the worst of the problems, but it is filthy, so you have to be willing to get very, very dirty. It is extremely physical work, as you can well imagine, working on an oil field or an oil rig. And the oil field, of course, is going to be wherever the oil is. And very few cities want to donate 30 acres in the middle of all of their infrastructure for an oil field, obviously. So oil rigs and fields are usually located way, way out in the boondocks. And so that's where you're working if you're working on an oil rig. Or you're working out in the Gulf of Mexico, or you're working way up in the north of Alaska. Um, so it can be very hot, very cold, uh, and uh, and you are away from usually you are away from your family if you have one, away from most everyone, except for the people who are working on that field or on that rig. And uh, you hear about up in Alaska that you work for 9 months and then 3 months they send you back to be with your family. Then you go work 9 months and you go back to your family. You may think the pay would be tremendous, but especially out west on the oil fields, land based oil fields, these workers are not working for ExxonMobil or for Phillips 66. They're working for a contractor who's working for a contractor who's working for ExxonMobil. And each level is taking their cut out of the money. And so by the time it gets to the actual workers on the fields, uh, the pay, it's not the huge amount that you'd expect someone to bring home for doing filthy, dangerous, lonely work in an oil field. It is it is it is skilled work. I cannot just well, I'm probably too old to do it anyway, but a person cannot just run out west and say, "Okay, I'll start working," even if they're willing to go through everything else. It takes some skill to. You can't just go in and say, "Oh, okay, I'll press this button." uh, it's it takes some time to learn how to work effectively at an oil rig, and so all these things put together, and the main one is policy, as usual. The states and the feds have been catering and truckling to the oil companies for years and years and years. And so their responsibility to provide safe working environments in their oil fields and on the rigs is very small. And of course, by the time you ship that responsibility out to a third party provider, then it gets much, much, much worse. Well, there are other problems with producing more oil besides oil companies don't want to because it's more effective and more profitable for the CEOs uh, to do other things with their money and also to pay stockholders. Shoot, if you pay stockholders, you can increase the value of your stock very much, and stockholders know what kind of dividends they receive, and that's going to determine the value of your stock also. And the value of the stock determines the pay of the CEOs, not how much oil they produce. And who knows how long this war in Ukraine is going to last? It could be over in 2 months, for better or for worse, for good or ill. And the oil markets could settle down again. It takes months and months and 6, 12, it can take years to put new drilling into production. And so an oil company needs stability in demand for their product, not a huge upswing. Hi, it's $4 a gallon. Let's drill at an oil field. No, an oil field takes a long, long time. And so there's no way ExxonMobil can be sure that if they did, work real hard and put $3 or $4 billion into new drilling, are they going to have a market for that oil? They don't know. What the pandemic really got shot in the foot during the pandemic because demand went so low right then. You may recall there was a time that oil was at the refineries was under zero. They would like to pay people to take it away because they had so much supply. So they're not anxious to be in that situation again. All of these things put together show why it's so silly. Not silly, it's just willful ignorance to say either we can just drill for more oil and take care of this problem. We can, if we just had more oil. That's not the way an oil company thinks. They think long term because drilling is long term. Or for people to say, a labor shortage on the oil fields. Why can't we get people in this country who are willing to work? People are willing to work if they know that if they end up dead from that work, that their family will be provided for. If they are hurt, they would like to know that they will receive care. And they'd like to be paid a reasonable wage for a very lonely, dirty, dangerous, and physical job. And that is why we're in the situation where we are with oil, even though the United States is the largest oil producing country in the world. We produce more oil than any other country, including those sandy countries. But we cannot just turn oil off and on as a spigot. And once again, this war in Ukraine could be over in 2 months, could be over in a month. We don't know. Putin may snap and say, hey, you know what? This is not worth it, and may withdraw. I don't know. The Ukrainians may fold. I don't know. But it could well be over in 2 months. And then if the oil companies have made this huge investment, then they're going to be stuck as they have been in the past. And that's something they will avoid like the plague. They're in the business of making money.